And today, our topic is using H5P speech recognition for asynchronous pronunciation activities. I am coming to you from Portland, Oregon, where I am currently based. I am a part-time faculty at Portland Community College, and I received my MA in TESOL from Cal State LA. And with me is my co-presenter, Kate Carney.
Hi, everybody. I have just as of yesterday retired from full-time teaching ESOL at Portland Community College. But pronunciation is still my passion. So here I am with Patryk. It's nice to be here.
Thank you, Kate. Congratulations, and
Thank you.
uh, happy to have you here with us at TESOL. Um, and one person who's missing from today's presentation is Laura Mendocino, our colleague who was part of a team with Kate and myself, a team that was started by Laura and Kate, and that I joined. And we were tasked with developing an online tool for all of PCC's ESOL communication class students at the low intermediate to advanced level to help them improve broadly speaking, their pronunciation skills. And today we would like to show you what we've come up with. And because we think that the activities that we made could be replicated easily by instructors and ESL departments at community colleges using this tool that I'll talk about called H5P. So we'll start with a quick overview of PCC's pronunciation project and what we've come up with. And then I'm going to show you a demonstration of how we put it together, because it was much easier and quicker than you might think just by looking at it. And so we'll give some practical tips on how to create these asynchronous pronunciation activities with H5P. And I'll go over some instructor and student feedback, talk about the benefits of this approach, and some caveats, reservations, some things that haven't worked out great just yet. We'll finish up with a bit of a Q&A as well. So Kate, could you tell us a little bit about the pronunciation assessment project?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Let's see. PCC for each of the subject areas, each of the programs has a learning assessment process. The faculty in the area are allowed to choose whatever area they would like to do some assessment on, to just basically see how well are the students learning, how could we improve their outcomes. And 2 years ago, one of our colleagues who was kind of in charge of the process chose pronunciation and went through a process where they recorded students of several levels, and then with lots of help from faculty, made an inventory of errors, and then determined which would be the most fruitful direction to go, considering that we do have students from over 35 countries and obviously very, very different pronunciation scenarios for all of them. And it was decided by Davina Ramirez, our colleague, and also us when we came aboard this year, that actually suprasegmentals would probably be the most useful and the most common denominator among all of these students from all these 35 different countries and all these different languages. So that's what kind of kicked off our year. Patryk, you want me to keep going here?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So what we decided to do this year was to then develop a tool for students and teachers to assess and also improve. I think we kind of went through both things. So it's a learning assessment, but also we really wanted something useful that would improve teachers' ability to teach pronunciation, improve students' ability to work on their own or in class. And so we came up with 8 modules. Students watch the videos. They use they watch the videos that gives a instruction on a discrete point, and then they use voice recognition software that will listen and give feedback to their practice, their utterances, these key sentences using sort of the target learning point. And communication course instructors piloted in class, winter and spring. We got lots of feedback. We got surveys from students. And generally, and Patryk could probably talk about this more, generally, like everybody, there are plenty of glitches as pilots are supposed to have, actually. But in general, students found it to be, really, really useful, really fun. And so then as part of the 3rd year of our assessment cycle, we will be implementing it into all of our communication classes in the ESOL program. So every level from level 4 through 8, we're an 8-level program. Starting in level 4, we have discrete communication classes where we specifically teach pronunciation. So that is the background.
Thank you so much, Kate. And I'm going to reshare my screen now because I forgot to share sound, but I want to show you exactly what we've come up with looks like. So the tool that Kate was just talking about is an LMS. We use a D2L, Brightspace D2L. It's a shell. It's a discrete course that students can be enrolled in alongside their other classes, and all of the activities can be used in the classroom to support the students' learning outcomes, outside as homework, and even asynchronously for students to go through at their own pace. So if I go to content, we've got our 8 modules so far, and we chose topics for these modules that researchers in the field of SLA, second language acquisition, would deem as carrying a high functional load, meaning that a lack of mastery of these features could lead to communication breakdowns and potential difficulties in face-to-face communication. So we were guided by the intelligibility principle and not the nativeness principle. And even before I joined the project, it was decided that we're going to focus on suprasegmental features as those affecting our students' communication the most. So for each module, you can see, for example, module 1, we created an instructional deck of slides about this discrete pronunciation point, and a little video in which one of us goes through the slides presenting about this pronunciation point. So let me show you a short fragment here of the video for module 1.
What are stress syllables? If a word is 2 syllables or more, it will have at least 1 stress syllable. A stress syllable sounds like it's said with more energy. It's like a loud beat in the music of English. Action, important, environment.
And after that, we ask students, after learning about this discrete pronunciation point, we ask students to practice, and this is where speech recognition comes in place. So in the practice portion, we had sentences with the exhibiting the pronunciation features that we're trying to teach, marked for stress, marked for other aspects of pronunciation that were explained in the instructional video. Then we had our wonderful PCC instructors record themselves saying these sentences with a natural pace. We got 3 samples, 3 speakers for each sentence. We rooted that decision in H5P high variability phonetic training, which shows that being exposed to a large number of voices with different accents, some native English speakers, some quote unquote non-native English speakers, will actually help to train students' perception of pronunciation features. So here we have,
I can't predict the future.
I admit I can't predict the future.
I admit I can't predict the future.
so we have 3 models for each sentence. And then here the students can click the button, record themselves saying the sentence, and get a correct or incorrect answer. And these answers will then be synchronized with their gradebook for their instructors to be able to see how they are doing. I'm not going to be able to demo this right now because my microphone is used by Zoom. But this little box is H5P, and it uses H5P's speech recognition algorithm that I will talk about in a moment. So let's take a look at the content part here. And I wanted, let me show you how we've created these assignments, because it might look like a lot, but creating this type of speech recognition exercise actually takes a lot less effort and time than you might think. So H5P stands for HTML5 Package. It's a plugin tool that helps produce and run interactive content and interactive video within your LMS or other kinds of e-learning browsers. And H5P integrates really well with leading LMSs. And in the post-pandemic world, many colleges and universities have been paying for their faculty to be able to use H5P. And that's why it's become a very popular choice among instructors who want to add a bit more interactive content to their shells, to their create activities that are a little bit more interactive and involve video and speech recognition, for instance. So what I can do with H5P, going back to the demo, is I can create a new page. I can call it, for example, let's call it the black cat vowel practice. I use the color vowel chart with my students, so I will call this open front vowel, the A sound, the black cat, for my students. And I can use ChatGPT to come up with some, and we did use ChatGPT to come up with some example sentences. I can prompt ChatGPT first by using the IPA and asking it, what are some common words in English whose phonetic transcription includes the A vowel? So I can have I get a list of some common words. Of course, if you've taught pronunciation, and most of you have extensively, this is not the hard part, coming up with these words. But now I use this prompt. Please create some sentences appropriate for CEFR level A2 students. So around the level of our communication for students at Portland Community College, where each sentence includes at least 3 of the following words. And now I can feed it with this list. And what I'm getting is ready-made sentences at the A2 level, such as, My dad wears a hat when he works in the garden. The man in the blue hat caught a rat in the kitchen. It's not perfect because we've got some words here that are highlighted that actually don't include that sound. But let's, for example, we've got mad and we've got match. I'm going to grab that. And now I'm going to use H5P to create an exercise where the student can practice saying this sentence. So I'm going to go to h5p.com. I'm going to log in with my institution's account. I'm going to go to my pronunciation demo folder, click on add content, and I'm going to use H5P's template called Speak the Words. I'm going to ask, please read the following sentence. Pay attention to your pronunciation of the black cat sound in mad and match. And then for accepted answer, I can put in, he got mad when his team lost the match. I'm just going to put it in the correct folder, pronunciation demo. I'm going to make sure that the score, here I would make sure that the score is sent to the LMS so that instructors can track the student's progress. And all of this, to some of you might seem like it's a lot of work, but a lot of your institutions, I'm sure, are paying for H5P, and also your institution's IT departments offer training in H5P. So I wasn't used to creating, working with this type of plugins at all before I joined the team, and the learning curve actually wasn't very steep. And I was able to get to the point where I can create an exercise within 30 minutes, for example. So I'm going to save this now. I will call it Black Cat Practice. I'm going to save it. And I have a ready-made H5P exercise. And if you're using Brightspace D2L, here, what I can do now is just use the integration, go to H5P LTI 1.3. And because I used my institution's account to log into H5P, it's just here. It's all integrated. So I'm going to go to pronunciation demo, Black Cat Practice, insert. I'm going to save this. And here it is. And it took me less than 10 minutes, I would say 5 minutes, to create a short practice sentence like that. And this is something that with access to H5P and an LMS, we can use to create exercises on the spot for students where they can practice reading sentences with the pronunciation points that we're trying to teach them asynchronously at home, and we can also see how they're doing through the gradebook. So let's now talk about the feedback that we've gotten from our students, and also some caveats, reservations, and overall benefits of this type of approach. So after a few of our pilot terms, like what Kate was saying, we collected qualitative data from students and instructors. And here we have, for example, we have their responses from in the last term that we ran this survey. Most of the students found these exercises useful. They enjoyed doing them. They would try 2 to 5 times to get the correct answer, which we think is a sweet spot because they are putting in effort. They have to adjust their speech a little bit, but it also wasn't too frustrating for them, so that they wouldn't be able to get a correct answer at all. And students were also able to use to do these exercises on their phone, which is a benefit of using H5P that I will talk about in a moment. So they were using their phones, they were using their computers, and some of them were using tablets too. We got some feedback from instructors as well, and both very positive and constructive. So overall, here we see that we've received a lot of positive feedback from the students. The activities aligned very well with their coursework in pronunciation classes and some communication classes. And the type of feedback that we received that we're trying to use to improve this tool is that for some students said that they tried 30 times to get the pronunciation correct, and were having a hard time getting a correct answer, or they weren't able to interpret the errors that they were mispronouncing. So instructors noted that students needed guidance to tell them where to focus based on what the software heard and what they had tried to say. And that brings me to an overall list of some benefits and reservations that we've identified. So what I think using these types of exercises is really wonderful for is extending guided practice for students beyond the classroom. Also reducing instructors' workload. So besides these types of activities, a lot of us at Portland Community College in our communication classes, we will have students record sentences, send them to us, record their speech through voicemail. And that's great, but it requires a lot of time from instructors to give personalized feedback to the students. So using speech recognition could help with that in that respect. Now, students can record sentences on their phones too. They don't need computers. We can monitor their progress through their grades. And we found that H5P speech recognition prioritizes comprehensibility. So sometimes even if the students would make small errors with segments, the sentence was still registered as correct. And finally, I think to me that the great benefit of doing these types of exercises for students is that incorrect answers will motivate them to repeat the activity, motivate them to use software such as Youglish, for example, to hear the correct pronunciation of certain words and phrases, and generally to start noticing their pronunciation and what they do with their speech. Now, some reservations and opportunities for improvement is that we found that there are possible tech issues and a learning curve. So H5P Speak the Words is currently only available for Chrome browsers. So we had to ask all our students to download the latest version of Chrome if they wanted to use these, to do these exercises on their phones. There is no way to focus speech recognition on particular features of pronunciation, at least with H5P. So there's a holistic approach where we do get either a correct or incorrect. It acts as a wonderful motivator to students, and if together with instructors' guidance can really help them progress in their pronunciation attainment. But at the same time, sometimes it makes the readings of the software inconsistent or confusing. So one thing that we might want to think about for the future is exploring other speech recognition algorithms. And finally, one of the caveats is that still for lower English proficiency students and for particular sentences, for particular pronunciation features, a good deal of guidance and feedback is required. And so just from my experience, so far I've used this tool with my level 4 communication class students, which are at the like I mentioned earlier, around the CEFR A2 level, and then also with our level 6 communication students, which I would say are approaching B2. And with the higher level students, I was able to assign the videos and the practice as homework with minimal guidance. Some students who are having a hard time with particular sentences would approach me after class, and we would work on these sentences together. But overall, the students were very happy with how they were able to work with the tool on their own time and benefit from it in that way. Whereas with the lower level students at level 4, I would go through the presentation decks together with the students in class, and then we would follow that with some perception training. We would follow that with communicative activities in small groups, and then ask the students to try to complete the sentences, to do the practice speech recognition exercises at home. So again, the level of guidance needed from the instructor depends largely on students' English proficiency, and also on some particular pronunciation features. Yes, and I think that's basically it for the presentation portion of our webinar. So I think maybe we could open this up now for some Q&A. I also think that we've got some PCC instructors among our participants, maybe some who have used this tool with their students, and if they would want to comment on its effectiveness.
And Patryk, I've been sort of monitoring some of the questions, so I just want to highlight a couple.
Oh, wonderful.
Let's see. Shannon asked a question I wasn't totally sure of the answer. So it's she says, my college has to pay for this in order for me to use it. And I said, I think individuals can purchase it. Is that correct? H5P.
So individuals can purchase it. It can be pricey if you're buying it on your own. There's now a team membership plan for, I think, 3 instructors and up to 250 students. That's for $70 a month. But like Randy said, UCSB's Canvas has a plugin for H5P. What that means is that UCSB, Randy, is paying for H5P, and you can get started using it. I had to contact my IT department to get it set up at first, but a lot of institutions right now that use LMSs are paying for it, and it's actually much more accessible to instructors than we might think. So Shannon just said that that you created a free account, and I believe that a free account is good for 30 days. And in terms of resources on how to learn how to use it. I found some YouTube videos when I was first getting started that were pretty helpful. I could send some your way with alongside the recording of this presentation, which will be sent to all registered participants.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, of course.
And then Amy asked, how long of a recorded segment can this software handle? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. So unfortunately, not that long, because if there's a lot of pausing, the software misinterprets the pauses as, oh, the student is done talking, and then they could get an incorrect answer and be frustrated because of that. So we would say that for now, like the H5P's particular plugin, or this solution works for sentences more than passages of speech or paragraphs. But I think the longest sentences that we've worked with, had some pretty long multisyllabic academic vocabulary in them. So, we could definitely do a sentence of 10, 15 words.
And then Ingrid asks, can you focus the sample stress sentence practices to be more sociocultural in content, and how can H5P attach contextualize emotion or attitude to the stress word?
Oh, that's
Question.
a wonderful question. And I wish that was possible. I don't think that, well, this particular speech recognition algorithm doesn't go there yet. And there might be ones out there who would offer that. If I understood you correctly, Ingrid, you mean, for example, putting stress on a particular word that you want to emphasize, right? Like the classic distinction between let's eat grandma and let's eat grandma, right? I don't think that. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of, but also if the context of the sentence was meant to be said with an attitude of happiness or sadness or frustration or those kind
Got
of
it.
attitudes, can they be plugged into this system?
As far as I know, with H5P, no, or with this solution that H5P speak the words, but I'm sure that that's being worked on right now for speech recognition, and maybe there are some speech recognition apps, algorithms, some software out there that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Colleen, this is a great request. So just to clarify, we don't get to hear the students' recordings. It doesn't record. It doesn't save the students' recordings.
Okay.
So basically, what happens? Let me go back to the presentation, or let's go back to the practice part. So here, for example, and maybe I could still use it with even though I'm on Zoom. So what happens is if I press push to speak, and I read, he got mad when his team lost the match. I get a correct answer, but if I said something that the H5P isn't interpreting as this sentence, for example, if I if I used the instead of match, if I said something like medj or metch, then I would get an incorrect answer here, and some ideas of what H5P interpreted my sentence as.
So it would
that's
be
good.
text showing what the computer heard.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's try
To get
that.
text.
Let's try that again. So I'm just going to refresh and try to do an incorrect pronunciation. I'll use, maybe instead of mad, I would use the word mutt, M-U-T-T, because I think my first language is Polish, and with a Polish accent, this would sound like mat, something, yeah. That I wouldn't make this D voiced, for example, and then the A instead of an A would be like an or something like that. So let me try again.
Okay.
He got mud when his team lost the match. Oh, so
Yeah.
It's correct.
it registered as correct.
It's a blunt instrument at this point, and it's actually pretty hard for fluent speakers of English, no matter sometimes what your accent is, to get an incorrect answer. So we always tell instructors not to demo this in class because it is unlikely. Well, you can demo it, but you're not going to be able to make it wrong. Patryk, what if you were to just say a completely different sentence, just for example, just so you can show them what it turns out to be?
Oh, definitely, yes. Please read the following sentence. Right, so then I could click on show solution.
That works.
There we go.
And then here we have what the answers have been interpreted as.
Okay. And what about for suprasegmentals, like going back to that example that had the 3 words that had word stress in them? So how does that work then?
So again, it's very holistic. So the speech recognition, it focuses on meaning. So it tries to interpret what has been said and compare it to the model. And this is a benefit and also a drawback of this. Because the benefit is that because it focuses on meaning so much, the focus is on comprehensibility, right? So as long as this algorithm thinks, oh yeah, this sounds like the sentence it was supposed to be, that's great. And that's why I was able to still get a correct score even with accented speech.
Right.
But the drawback of that is that there's no, with this one, there's no way to focus it on specific aspect of pronunciation. For example, hey, H5P, did the student stress this word as opposed to that one? But with incorrect stress within words and phrases, the word might be interpreted as something completely different just because of the stress placement. So it still does its job, but that's the most, I would say that H5P is the most accessible for us students, for us instructors, because of its integration to LMSs and because of the fact that a lot of institutions pay for it. I think it's the most accessible of these types of tools that we have at our disposal. But again, it's imperfect as a speech recognition model, and I would say for me the biggest benefit is just as a motivational factor for students of trying to interact with sentences, looking up their pronunciation, talking to their instructor about their pronunciation, noticing what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong, and then eventually getting it close enough that they get a correct, and that leads to their satisfaction. Even though, because of the nature of H5P, what the software is hearing and the feedback that it's giving us can be pretty inconsistent.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So then Randy asks about tag questions. Does H5P measure rising and falling intonation? And I'm guessing not, Patryk. What do you think? I don't think we had any questions.
We didn't have any questions. We didn't work on questions.
That's a good question. I'm kind of imagining not. Again, it's about intelligibility as opposed to, although, obviously that's a big part of intelligibility is intonation, but I'm kind of guessing not. I don't know what you think, Patryk.
Yes, I unfortunately I can't. I'm also not sure if how it does with intonation. Yes.
And then I was going to say, Ingrid asks, there are some differences in many RP and GA syllable stress words. There are differences in RP and GA syllable stress. Is H5P program for GA English only?
I believe it recognizes both varieties, because we had some. Not all of our students are learning general American speech, or like come from backgrounds where their accent is general American, and they were able to get correct answers. We had some instructors who come from the UK, who modeled for us, and or speak with more of a British variety, and it worked. So I believe that, as far as I know, it actually would recognize both aluminum and aluminium, for example. I think that's the classic one, right?
There's also like Americans say, I think it's inquiry, and whereas we say inquiry. There are a couple of words like that that are marginally different. Would the program pick up on those differences?
I think I'll have to do more research into that, and I'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't register the RP variety as incorrect. I think it would be able to recognize that it's just spoken with a different accent.
Okay.
It's pretty lenient when it comes to accents, I would say, and that's again a bit of a drawback. But for what we're trying to achieve, it's still, I wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Thanks. Yeah.
And then Ingrid, you asked also if H5P can be used for homework assignments.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what we did, and I think I can, if I view it as a student, I don't want to show my students' personal information, but if I view this shell as a student, I'll be able to go to grades and see my grades. And since this is the summer, okay, so since this is the summer shell, the summer copy, I don't have any grades yet, and I haven't played around with the modules for the summer shell. But generally, for every correct answer is given 10 points, and there's 10 sentences per module, and students get to see their module average. So for example, if they were only able to get 7 sentences right in a module, they would get 70% on module 1. And it registers there's different options for grading. So it could be, H5P could be sending the grade for the last attempt to the LMS. So for example, if I get it right once, but then try again and get it wrong, only the 0% would be in the grade book. But the option that we've used is actually sending the best attempt, right? So the student only has to get it right once to get those 10 points and have that contribute to their average. So we can see, for example, through this, we can see which sentences a lot of our students have had trouble with. And we had to revisit some of those sentences, because maybe, for example, if there was one with a time, and H5P would recognize, would interpret some of our students saying 6 SIX and others as saying the number, it was very inconsistent. So we had to get rid of that. So there were some sentences that just for technical reasons we had to adjust. But we were able to see basically everyone who's using this tool, like how they did with individual sentences. And if we had some sentences that a lot of students, haven't been able to get that point on, we investigated further, or we're going to investigate further because this is something that it's ongoing for us.
Well, I mean, you're right when you said it definitely takes away a lot of the instructor workload, because I was back in the day would have my students send me an MP3 recording of whatever the homework assignment was, and I would have to listen to every individual student's recording and then grade it myself and then send a feedback. So this is excellent for that usage. It's excellent.
Exactly. I think that's basically what we're saying here, is that we wouldn't necessarily, with H5P, with the speech recognition algorithm that it uses, we wouldn't use it for our students to get asynchronous feedback exactly, or just interact with it 100% on their own without an instructor, but as a substitute for them recording 10 sentences, sending them to the instructor, and us having to listen to all of them and give them feedback. It works great because they will get it right on 9 of those sentences. And if they get it correct, it means that for most intents and purposes, their pronunciation is intelligible, right? And then those sentences that they can't get correct, they can come to the instructor with those, and then that can lead to teachable opportunities.
Right. Great. Thank you.
And then Amy asks about whether it's available in Spanish. And I just did a quick, maybe Patryk, you know more than I do. I just did a quick search, and it looks like you can set your preferred language. But I don't know what else that means, actually. Do you happen to know?
I think there possibly is an H5P version for Spanish, but the one that we have available, to speak the words, I think it's just for English. Again, I'm sorry if there's some questions here that I can't answer, and I'm glad that this is coming up so that I can do some research and get back with to all of you, but I don't think it's available. I don't know, but from what I've seen, I don't think it's available for Spanish right now, unfortunately.
I think it might be. I'm just Googling, and it does look like there are Spanish instructors who are using it.
Okay.
But this is just my absolute quick Google. So yeah, I think that would be interesting to find.
Yeah, and H5P speak the words in Spanish. Okay, here's an example of using the speak the words H5P content to practice saying numbers 1 to 10 in Spanish. So what is possible is that this app just you can speak to it in more than English, and then it will the algorithm will recognize, oh, you're speaking Spanish, because that's kind of how ChatGPT works. For example, you can just start a conversation with ChatGPT in another language, and it speaks that language, and it'll smoothly switch to that language. Yes, sadly, there's no way for students to save their error sentences.
Yeah, Marcia,
except for
yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's actually Marcia. That's what students in my communication class have been doing. They will just bring that. They'll have that. They'll have what is heard by the computer in their notes, in their text, in their notebook, and then we would work on particular sentences. Thank you, Abigail. So Abigail is one of the instructors who've used this with us. I really appreciate you doing that and giving us really valuable feedback as well, and spotting some of our mistakes and errors in some of the materials that we've created. So Abigail was very helpful, and I'm happy that overall the students enjoyed working with these sentences.
Yes, so useful. Thank you so much, Kate and Patryk and
You're
Laura.
welcome. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to thank everyone for coming. Thank you so much for your participation and your insightful questions.
Do you think you could take this question? Outside of Canvas or another LMS, do you see an application for this? How can individuals?
Yeah, that's great. Actually, H5P is all HTML based, so it just could be used as an embed, and you can create your Google site, for example, or like if it can be very easily placed onto into an HTML website.
And so you can put out the sentences, and it will activate the AI, which listens to the
Yes.
speech. But we have to pay a pretty penny for it, $70 a month. Is that correct?
If you're not working with an institution that pays
Okay.
for it,
All right.
that's correct.
So that is so that's a
that is a barrier to entry for sure.
Yeah, that's a hefty charge. Yeah, but it's good to know, and most people here are probably working at schools where you might be able to access that.